We are in Gwangju, South Korea. Its precise location would be 35 degrees 10 north, 126 degrees 55 east. We're in 2024, 70 years after Korea's partition into two states, divided by the 38th parallel. Curating an exhibition is like gathering musicians for a concert. It means summoning voices that could match and respond to each other, one by one. Curating an exhibition is like solving an enigma.
And her cloak of buzzing, stinging bees would like to meet you.
For example, why do birds delimitate their territory by singing? Both sounds and images come to us as vibrations. This exhibition will try to unite those two types of vibrations, using sounds as metaphors to describe the very nature of the space we live in. The forms we see can be translated into sounds, and sounds can be visualized.
How does sound travel underwater? Fast. Faster than in air. 4,750 feet per second compared to 1,000 feet per second. And really far. The sound produced by many marine animals can project for miles. Sound is thus an essential tool for the underwater creatures to sense their environment, helping them to gather information.
The Brazilian anthropologist Eduardo Viveiros de Castro says that the Western world sounds like an opera with a unique microphone on, the other musicians having been slowly shut down throughout history. Human languages have shaped the world we live in. This human wall of sound creates invisible borders. In 2020, when all activities were paused because of the worldwide confinement, suddenly, animals managed to get closer to us. Is there a noise generated by climate change? Where can we hear it? Music transforms noise into figures, and when people migrate, they carry their homeland with them in the form of sounds. Pansori is the opera of the subalterns, the voice of the working class, the noise made by people who don't have their say in any matter. It appeared in the 18th century to accompany shamanistic rituals. It is lyrical and is generally linked with specific places or regions.
또 한 퀴를 열고 보니 돈이 하나 가득 흥부가 좋아라고 돈과 쌀을 한 번 피어 떨어내는지 흥부가 좋아라고 배두 짝을 떨어 붓고 나면 떨어서고 톡톡 털고 떨어서 다 들어보면 도로 하나 같은 거고 떨어서 다 들어보면 돈과 쌀이 도로 가는 떨어서 다 들어보면 도로 하나 같은 거고 떨어서 다 들어보면 도로 하나 가득.
What does Pansori have to say about our space? Another anthropologist, Claude Levi-Strauss, believed that the function of art was to get human beings used to the space we live in. After the deserted landscapes of classical European painting, or the grandiose mountains depicted in China, modern art has showed us pieces of nature invaded by human constructions. And then, in this following century, artists tried again to escape from the coordinates of space and time. Today, our relationship to space is disrupted by climate change, not only by the rise of oceans, but also the increasing mass of accumulated waste that is modifying human space. Even the highest peak of Mount Everest is covered with plastic particles. We call Anthropocene the age where industrial production become part of the planet itself. Like Narcissus in Greek mythology, human beings can now see their reflection everywhere. They find their fingerprints in the trees, in the rocks, in the air they breathe. They seem to be trapped by a net they themselves have woven. Today's artists show us a world where human order has penetrated every layer that constitutes the planet. Spheres are intertwining. All molecules muddle up and mingle. Art gives shape to the invisible, the main agent of human history. As every space corresponds to a sound, the exhibition will draw a map of today's world through 3 typical sonic patterns. First, the feedback effect, a noise created by 2 sources which are too close to each other. This sound expresses a lack of space, an extreme promiscuity.
Crowds marching and carrying signs.
It is also the sound of oppression and segregation, the negation of vital distances. Human space is generated by artificial divisions. We endlessly create borders, drawing invisible lines between us. Just as in the wilderness, public space is also narrowing. Many people fight to find a safe space, or more simply, to become visible.
Since her pin money, which depended on the goodwill of her father, was only enough to keep her close, she was debarred from such revelations as came even to Keats or Tennyson or Carlyle, all poor men, from a walking tour, a little journey to France, from a separate lodging which, even if were miserable enough, sheltered them from the claims and tyrannies of their families.
The second sound pattern is polyphony. It is the sound of a multifocal world, a world where the human gaze coexists with many others. In art, it is an attempt to engage a dialogue with other forms of life, from stones to plants to machines. There is a third sound pattern called Om in the Hindu tradition. It is the primordial sound, one that scientists would relate to the origins of the universe. Trapped in an expanding system, artists seek any exit. They try to escape towards the infinitely small or the immensities of the cosmos, because human scale might be the problem. European artists invented perspective, which ends with an infinite vanishing point. Chinese artists invented the void in painting. In both cases, the gaze cannot meet any ending. Today, artists see space as a place where they meet other subjects. They feel immersed in a relational space. As the physicist Karen Barad wrote, isolated objects do not exist. Everything and everyone emerges from a relationship. life reconfigures permanently. Australian Aboriginals believed that the world was created by legendary beings who wandered endlessly, singing the names of all the animals, the rocks, and the plants they met. Still today, native Australians read the space they live in as a musical score. Those lines that cross the country are called songlines. They perpetuate this mythical period called the dream time, the creation of the world, which was created through songs. In 1447, at the request of Prince Anpyeong, Angyeon painted Dream Journey to the Peach Blossom Land. The prince had described to him a dream he had had the night before, whose setting came from a book he read. But unlike the book, Anpyeong met no human beings in the Peach Blossom Land. No buildings, no animals. What remained was a landscape, maybe the first dream painting in the history of art, whose nervous lines look like an encephalogram. A dream turned into a landscape. In 2001, the last blank spots on the planet have been completed by satellites. Since then, we understood that we live within a finite space. By searching the molecular world or the immensity of the cosmos, human species looks for new perspectives.
So humanity, at some point, when we first realized there are planets, well, we're on a planet, there's another planet out there, maybe there's life. And it's quite interesting to think that for much of humanity's existence, probably people thought, oh yeah, it's reasonable that there's something else out there.
September 2024, in Gwangju, Korea. More than 70 international artists will map those new territories, showing fragments of the planet they live in. They will sing the lines that divide and organize our space. The song lines. Coming back to the dream time.
풍년이 들었단다. 그런 일도 있었으니 내 몸으로 대신함이 어떠하냐. 마른 땅을 세웠대던 여선복부 도루공굴 거치던 원래리 동물 간산 광광 두다려 발을 둥둥 구른다. 몸으로 예생하여 상님들 빌었더니 대우방수천리 풍년이 들었단다. 그런 일도 있었으니 내 몸으로 대신함이 어떠하냐. 마른 땅을 세웠대던 여선복부 도루공굴 거치던 원래리 동물 간산 광광 두다려 발을